Okay, so I'm going to make a small Tunisian crochet circle today. That's what we're going to be working on here. Okay, if I can get this the right direction. And get my little background here oriented. Okay, so we're going to attach a slip knot to the crochet hook, and I'm going to work, I'm using a size J6 crochet hook, so I'm working a chain of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm working a slip stitch to join. Okay, so I'm probably going to end up with a bunch of a bunch of stitches. And so what I'm going to do is work, how many do I want to work? Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we'll start with 8. And so then we'll do the Tunisian like we always do. End up with, we got 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8. Okay, so now I'm going to slip stitch through the center loop like this. And so I'm going to go through 2 at the first one, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is what we've got to start off here. And so I'll just keep going here until we have a circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now I want to go through the circle to attach, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn my camera here so I can see what is, hello, always offline. Okay, hello. Okay, so I'm turning this back around. I've got it kind of, I've got my camera kind of upside down at an angle so I can't see very well, and I don't have the laptop on right now. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe I should turn my computer on, and then then you guys can type comments and ask questions, and I can see along the way here. Okay, so now I'm going through the center like this. Typically we only go through 1, but with this one we're going through 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so the reason that we go through 2 loops is because we are attaching with a slip stitch. That's the reason that we're going through 2. Hello, hello. What does that say? Let me look and see. I'll get up. Okay, hello. Is that Joey? Let me turn. Joey Netherland. Okay, always offline, and Joey Netherland. Hello. Okay, I'll sit back down. Okay, so I'm working on the Tunisian, and we're working it in a round. Now this actually could be a shape of some sort if you needed like if you wanted to turn it into a butterfly wing or something like that. Okay, so I am working 1, 2, well, we've got 3 actually, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and so now we're going through the ring here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so if you remember, like with Tunisian, we are working 2 passes. It takes 2 passes to work 1 row with Tunisian, which looks more like knitting. So you can have a you know, 2 different looks on each side. And so there's a lot of different types of ways to do Tunisian. And people get really possessive about their Tunisian crochet stitches and who created these stitches, and they get really, really possessive and about who made the stitches first. I think it's so funny. The woman, I think I saw her this past week. She said something about she came over on the Titanic and had her 150-year-old whale crochet hook and some yarn that was like a couple 100 years old. And she brought it over from Europe, and she was using a whale hook to crochet with. I thought that was so funny and so clever of her. I thought that's a good way of a statement, you know, because there's some people who will just say that crochet is only a couple 100 years old. And so she was saying she used a whale hook on the Titanic, and she's actually literally showing pictures of women crocheting on the Titanic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to go through here. This is not a 9th stitch. What we do is we go through 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think it's so funny. The thing I find so funny too is that, like, I can be on here right now and no one remembers who I was. Absolutely no one remembers who I was. So I think that's so funny, doing this right now, because it's like I must not have made much of a memory at the beginning of YouTube, because nobody remembers who I was. Oh my goodness. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I actually see what's going on YouTube right now. Do you guys want me to tell you a little bit about what's going on if you haven't watched any of my other videos? Okay, so there's people in this certain music industry, and what they're doing is they're just repeating these words over and over again using their network. And I don't think they learned their lesson from the first time. And I believe I mentioned this when a certain artist, well, Lil Wayne, I'll just say who it was, Lil Wayne, when he was in jail. This was back, what, in 2008, 2009 or something like that. And I remember expressing, I said, well, it's kind of funny he's in jail, but yet his music is still coming out. It's being released on YouTube now. So he's not even releasing it anyplace else but on YouTube. How is that possible when he's in jail? And it's like, I thought a person lost all their rights when they go to jail, and I thought they lost all their money when they go to jail. That's the point I made. If it's true that you lose your complete rights and you lose all your money when you go to jail, then how is it that your record label continues to earn money off your likeness? Wouldn't the government take control of your likeness and your image while you're in jail? I've made this argument before. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm just someone who thinks things through, maybe a little bit too much. And I'm going to keep doing that related to entertainment, because there's a lot of things in entertainment that make absolutely zero sense to me. And I think that it should make zero sense to you too. And we should be asking these questions when these celebrities go to jail. Why? How come the government does not take over completely their likeness and their image while they're in jail? Because it makes no sense to me, because it's my understanding you give up all your rights when you go to jail. And so you should not be producing music and music being released while you're in jail. This shouldn't be happening. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I did the wrong one. Oh my goodness, I grabbed a hold of the wrong. This isn't good. This isn't good. I used the tail. Let's see if we can recover from this. No, I can't recover. So what I'm going to do is just pull out. I'll pull out a little bit and then recover this way. I got 5, 6, 7, 8. And so what they were doing back in around the 2009 time frame is they put all their celebrities on the internet. And I didn't know anything about the background people being used. The background people and how they separated everything. So they have their background people, they have their promoters, they have all these people who call themselves some important role related to the celebrity, which pretty much has them just making a whole bunch of money. They make a whole bunch of money. They sit around in mansions all day long, and they're pretty much doing nothing. They're raising chickens, they're raising flowers, and just doing things, living this really cushy, expensive lifestyle is what they're doing. I mean, because there's a guy, and the thing is, it's like, I want to like him so bad, but he makes it hard for me to like him. Because when I ask him something, he gets really, really agitated, and he's doing rage baiting, and then he blames me for it. And then he's got his people on his YouTube channel, and he blocks me. I get blocked. So he's doing the rage baiting. And so he said that he's very familiar with the rap industry. He said he's from Atlanta, up in the Peachtree City area. And so he gets really, really upset with me when I ask him questions. And then he tells me that I'm rage baiting him. I'm the one who asked a question. He told us to ask him questions. And so he's saying, and then even he's got his moderators now saying that I'm rage baiting him. And I'm like, I don't get what you're talking about, because you told us to ask you questions. And he's like, well, you know what it is. And so he's the one then who ends up getting upset. And I'm like, and I told him, I said, well, if you were passionate about this, you could talk for 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, without any of us asking you questions of something to talk about. I said, you could do it by yourself. And so then I'm the one who ends up getting booted off of his channel, because he has his moderators then in turn boot me off of his channel, because he said that I'm annoying, I guess, and it's like, but you're the one getting upset. And now he has admitted on his channel, on his YouTube channel, he said that everybody wants to see fighting. And I've told him, I said, no, people do not want to see fighting. And so it's like he's trying to start stuff with people and just be mean. So they're right back to doing what they were doing 8 years ago with their rage baiting. It's kind of like with Jerry Springer and all that stuff. They think people want to see that, and that's just not true. We want to have discussions, but we don't want to be rage baited, and that's what they were doing on MSNBC, is rage baiting people, and they've done a little bit of that on Fox News. And so it's like, I don't see any line related to I just see them doing what they do just to get views, and that's what rage baiting says that the purpose of it is just to get views so they can get monetized, and that and the relationship now is YouTube, because YouTube is very, very mainstream media now. It wasn't at the beginning, but it is now, and so they want to get monetized, and that's the only reason they're doing the rage baiting, is for the purposes of getting views and getting monetized. I don't want to participate in it myself. I like having discussions, but I just don't want to get into the argument part, because I have my personal reasons why I don't want to be involved with that part. And so let's see what this says. Clark Manley. Hello, Clark Manley. Hello. And so I just wanted to share that with people, what's going on right now. And that's going on with the AI Donald Trump as well, because AI Donald Trump on the parody, he's kind of saying the same thing. And I had told this guy up in Atlanta, he's in Peachtree City, and he's living in a huge mansion. And he said that he's quit his job with traditional legacy media to become a YouTuber now. And it's like, you can't just say that you quit your job to become to work with legacy media, and now all of a sudden you're living in this huge mansion across from a mansion that's across the way from you, and that's your full-time job. We don't believe you. Someone's paying you for what you're doing, and you don't just get monetized in a week or in a couple of months. It doesn't work out like that. And that's what they're saying. They're saying that they got monetized. They're showing the paychecks. Now, it's nothing any different than what they've been doing before. So it's kind of like when they say they win the lottery or something like that. And hold up a check. It's basically the same premise. What they're doing is saying that they have won, that they're doing something really extravagant and big, but they're part of a network. They're part of the networks is what they're doing. And then they wonder why nobody wants to watch them or share their content, because they're part of a network, and they're supposed to be doing things their way, and which is separate from the rest of us who do things on YouTube, who truly are independent. Or even if they are part of a network, some of the network people actually are willing to work with YouTubers, independent YouTubers. They're willing to do things and at least give it a try. They're willing to try to change, even if they are part of a network and they're on a payroll maybe. And so they're not just going all crazy like some of these other ones are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, and so the thing is that I wanted to say is that, see how it's starting to curve now, and we're kind of, well, we could actually make a tulip out of this too. We could roll it, see how we roll it around. We most definitely could make a flower out of this. And so, yeah, it's really frustrating, because then they want to blame the person in the comment section for being the troublemaker when they are the ones, and that's all they want to do is argue with someone. And so when they can't get anybody on their YouTube channel in the comment section to actually have a disagreement with them, that they want to go their way, then they actually will lash out in other ways. So they might send someone to someone else's comment section or something, and write something, in hopes that that person might go to their YouTube channel or pay attention to them in some way. And I've often said too, related to the search engine optimization people, it's like, well, you can reference search engine optimization for anything. It doesn't have to be that narrow niche that a lot of these search engine optimization guys are talking about and referencing with search engine optimization. So they kind of wanted to create things into a tiny narrow niche, which benefited them. And so they were talking about search engine optimization based off of email lists. And the email lists is where they end up failing. And that's what's failing now, because there was one guy, this was about, I would say 6 months ago, and he says, oh, email lists are the way to go. He said they still work really, really well. And so, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, it's kind of like talking about Hillary's server. Well, are you going to optimize it to Hillary's server? You know, I mean, which that doesn't have anything to do with politics. It just has to do with, you talked about Hillary's server temporarily for a while. Then it went out, it became disfavorable within media and within politics. And it was a popular trend for a little bit, but then it just quits. And that's how the trends work, is they just quit. Well, then you've not optimized your channel to actually be anything but just drama. Well, is that what you want? Is just drama? Or do you want to actually teach something? And so that's what this guy in Peachtree City, Atlanta is talking about. He's professing that he's teaching something. And now the thing is if he just went on ahead and he talked about the celebrities without anybody making any comments or remarks to him. Now, if he just wants to drop dimes on what they're doing, why doesn't he go ahead and do it? That's the thing I've thought. Why doesn't he go on ahead and talk about his insider knowledge related to Hollywood and what the rappers and music artists are doing? He can do it by himself. He doesn't need someone to rage bait on. But it seems like he's trying to get someone to rage bait on, because he has referenced that before several times. And he has said that people get lots of views with rage baiting. And so that's what he's looking for right now. Someone is teaching some very bad practices related to rage baiting. But of course, it's coming out from the AI parody. That's what they're calling it right now, the AI parody of Donald Trump that's going on. And they think that people want to see that and be rage baited on all the time. So when you ask a serious question, now, and that's what the president is doing. When he became president the first time, and he was telling people in media that they were idiots for asking a certain question. It's like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you calling people idiots for asking a question? But then he says what he says is America is so stupid that they vote for him, which America did vote for him. I mean, that turned out to be true. But he's the one who said, who thought it was funny. He said that he could use Fox News and his money and get elected president. And he did twice, unfortunately. And now we have to deal with the consequences of a rage baiting lunatic. And we were talking about this. I mean, and the thing is, I've tried to talk about things that have happened to myself. And I have been at the end of physical violence because of all this rage baiting. You know, so when I think about, they did the rage baiting on TV, well, then that afforded my second husband the empowerment for him to rage bait on me and then eventually hit me. And so that's what he was doing, was rage baiting on me. And then, but then when we go to another channel, I could go to, I mean, the thing is, it's like people they wonder why videos come up. I'm going to tell you why videos come up. So in this video, if I mention search engine optimization, I get search engine optimization videos every day. If I just talked about crochet by itself in the video, or I just did the stitches by itself, then I'm probably just going to get things related to stitches. But if I mention search engine optimization in my video a little bit, I'm going to get YouTube channels that come up related to search engine optimization. If I mention mental health in my video a little bit, or therapy, I'm going to get a combination of therapy and mental health videos in my live stream. Not just in my live stream, it's going to come up to me on my YouTube homepage. If I talk about Zentangles and doodles, I'm going to get that coming up. I have a fair amount of food that comes up, the food artwork, a lot of things related to art. And that, and that's one of the things that I'd said related to the music industry. There's certain words that if I say them related to the music industry, I may not want them coming up. And then I get blamed for them, and that frustrates me as a content creator, because the thing is, it's like other people have blamed me for what comes up on their computer, and that's happened with Facebook. And so just because I said Facebook right now, then I'm going to get an advertisement for Facebook probably. And sometimes I get advertisements for TikTok as well. Because just because I said TikTok in my video. And so then the algorithm thinks I want to see things about TikTok. And but this is the stuff then that comes up to me. Now it could be an advertisement if those areas are advertising, but I'm not monetized at this point right now. I'm just trying to get monetized and hope that I can get monetized again, even though I didn't lose monetization the first time. I I deleted everything off my original YouTube channel because of what happened to me related to a violent marriage. And then to have this guy from Peachtree City, he's telling me he doesn't believe anything at all that happened to me. And I was just thinking, I wrote to him in a comment and I said, you don't believe anything that happened to me. Why should I believe anything that happened to you, or believe a thing that comes out of your mouth? And so that's the rage baiting that he wants to go into, is by he'll just say he doesn't believe, it's they're the complete polar opposite, and they use the rage baiting, which is that psychological warfare that comes out of sports and wrestling and things like that. And that's things I'm not interested in. Sports, wrestling, football, those are all things I'm not interested in. But unfortunately, they're going to come up probably because I mentioned them. But I'm still not interested in them. They'll surface to me on YouTube, even though I'm not interested in them. I mean, it's man stuff. And when a woman, oh, this was interesting the other day. I have to share this related to this young guy. And I really liked him a lot. I was listening to him. I would say he's maybe under 30 years old. And he was talking about something that was going on across from him. He was doing some drawing. And he happened to come up. And there was his name, for some reason, came up, and it was related to some drawing, and I thought, okay, well, there are some similarities here. And so he was talking about something that was going on across the street from him. He said he lived in a college town. There was some honking going on. He couldn't figure out why there was honking going on, so he went to see, and he said there was something about nurses and women or something like that. He kind of glazed over it. He really didn't want to talk about it at all. And then he says, oh, women do have rights. And so I wrote some things, and he's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know, just kind of really grumpy. And so then someone comes to his door, and it was just kind of odd, because it got me to thinking. It's like, well, why do you mention this stuff? Then it's like you want to have a conversation, but then you don't. That's kind of what it seemed like. It's like he wanted to have a conversation, but then he didn't really want to have a conversation. And then when these people come to the door, there was no way to actually get a hold of him, because then he's telling personal information that's coming across on video. So he's giving out his real name and an email address, and I believe he gave his phone number on his live stream. And I thought, well, that's not going to work out very good for him, because these guys came to the door. They said they were selling something, and so they went to where he was at. He left his live stream running while they went to answer the door, and these guys claimed they were from Comcast. They claimed they were from Comcast. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so it's like, the thing I think about is like, well, I'm not paid by I'm not paid by any of these networks. And so it's like the networks kind of have a common ring with them, a common theme, where they are doing product placement. That's what I'm thinking. They're doing product placement. That's what it seems like to me, that they're doing some kind of product placement when they mention all this stuff. So when they barge into someone's group, that's that, and they start talking about medical all the time, then it has me thinking that they're part of that network, because the last I knew, they said there was like 5 million people who were in the network. 5 million people. So I guess I need to say something about crochet right now, so that maybe crochet comes back up. That we're working on this Tunisian crochet piece that is rounded, and we're working in the center, and I'm a little bit over halfway done here. And but related to the product placement, it's like, well, I don't have a product, I'm not selling anything, but it's interest based. So in order to get a variety of things surfacing, a variety of for your video to surface in a variety of places, then I guess we have to mention all these different things that we may not be interested in. That's what it seems like. So, I mean, we might need to talk about tampons and pads and jock straps and solar panels and what else? Solar panels and period products for women and t-shirts and socks and firearms, munitions, and the United States military and the police and the fire department, and things that people like, things people don't like, and talk about breakfast cereal and eggs and chickens and hats and coats and starving kids in Africa and country music, and cover the whole kit and caboodle, not just yarn. We need to cover everything. And falling down and breaking legs. Oh, this is an interesting thing that this is the last comment I got, was someone had written to me to me about something related to the military, and they said that women can rejoin once she has her baby. So they said during basic training she can't, or if they find out she's pregnant, that she could get injured related to the baby and herself, and so they have to request that she not be in the military. But I started thinking, well, wait a minute. They let all these men who get injured during basic training, they get to stay in as a medical holdover. So why can't the woman stay in as a medical holdover while she's pregnant, and she can be learning a skill of some sort or doing some type of administrative work, and they can be teaching her how to do that until she has her baby, and then she can finish basic training. But then the other thing, what I've said is that with basic training, when she doesn't get to stay in the military, then that's a way to prevent her from joining. That's how I see it. That and the fitness is a way to prevent the female from joining the military. So they've put up roadblocks. So the majority of it is men. And, so when they talk about women's rights, it's like, yes, women do have more rights than what we did in the past. That's a fact. I agree with that part. Most definitely agree with that part. But we're still not there yet, because, for example, in the military, there's still a larger burden related to women and children when it comes to women and children, and the woman being able to stay in the military and being able to complete basic training when she is expecting a child, and taking care, because they don't get rid of the woman when she gets pregnant. After she's in the military, they don't get rid of her. And so how is it equality that right at basic training time, if they find out she's expecting, that they get rid of her? It's like, that is not equality right there. And so, but they keep the men who get injured. And so what they're saying, what they said something about is that it's going to be very expensive for the military to have to pay for the woman while she has that when she has a baby, which I don't, but yet they keep all these other people on medical hold. So I've raised the issue and said, well, yeah, but war is expensive too. So why are we always going to war all the time? Because of the fact it's like, well, oh, there's an element of people who just want to go to war all the time. I made a tiny short video about this earlier. They want to go to war all the time, and war gets very expensive. So when you have soldiers who end up with missing limbs and things like that due to injury while they're at war, job-related injuries and things like that, well, that gets very expensive. Well, for the military for a little while, but then they discharge them, and the responsibility is no longer on the military. Then the person is just kind of left with nothing. Because in many cases, they may not be taken care of. Well, they will. There is some disability that's, I mean, they get put on disability, is my understanding, after war, but a woman who is a housewife has nothing. So a woman who's a housewife has no company to be able to go back on, and people who are hospitality workers have no company to go back on, or if you've worked part-time or something like that, you don't have a company to go back on for disability and injuries and things like that. And so I mean, it's a big mess related. And so it's like women are being penalized for things that are not realistic. It's that same principle as taxes. When the IRS taxes you for you filing your taxes, and they're making you pay penalties on interest that when you didn't have a job. And that's actually happening. And so, that would be like, okay, so for example, a housewife is going to have multiple years of no money paid into the Internal Revenue Service or Social Security because she was a housewife. So when you don't have a job, and then you're questioning whether you're no tax liability or not, and then the Internal Revenue Service just starts charging you for something that when you didn't have a job and you had no money coming in, you had very little money coming in, but you live in poverty, there's a problem with the Internal Revenue Service right now. A big problem, not just a little problem. It's a huge, huge, big problem. I wonder if I could I sure could. I could make a butterfly out of this if I cinched this up right like that, or let's see here. If I pulled that up like that, I could make a butterfly out of this. Oh, look at that. I sure could make a butterfly out of that. That would be a really cute butterfly right there. Really cute. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I roll this up as a flower. I'm curious. I want to roll it up as a flower. Which side should I use? Let's roll this up and see what kind of flower I get. Oh, that's a really pretty flower. Right there. That is a really pretty flower that we can make. So there's two things right there I could make out of this, a flower and a butterfly. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But it really sucks to just be abandoned. That's what it feels like right now, is just being abandoned. It just feels completely like being abandoned, like nobody cares. That's what it completely feels like. And that's when people get re-abused all over again. I feel like there's a shadow element of people who actually are paying attention and do care, but they can't reveal who they are. I feel that. That seems, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I do feel like there is another voice of people through the internet somehow that do care, and they've said that they do. Um, and they're probably fighting against the same thing and understand what I'm talking about. But I think for various reasons that they can't actually, we can't communicate with each other for some reason. Or maybe it violates their code of conduct and their non-disclosure agreements. That's what I'm thinking. It's just speculation on my part. That's all it is, a speculation on my part. I don't know if that's right or not, but I kind of have a feeling that that could be what it is, that if they were to contact us for some reason, that it would violate their non-disclosure agreements and their code of conduct agreements for whatever it is that they're doing for their job. And but that's, it's just speculation on my part. I feel like they want to talk, but they can't. That's kind of what I feel like. I feel like some want to talk, but they can't for some reason. Now the email thing, that's a disaster, because of the fact that sometimes I wish YouTube did have email, because when YouTube had email, we were able to do private messages. Then they got rid of it for Gmail, and that's what they tell us. Oh, you can use Gmail. Um, I never had anything terrible happen at all when I had YouTube email. Not once did I ever have anything terrible happen. That was one of my favorite times, was the beginning of YouTube, and I had a whole bunch of messages that I printed out, and they were lovely messages. I had one from a guy, and wrote this really, really long message to me, and he told me that, he had a wife or a girlfriend, one or the other. And it turns out that her name was the same name as my name. And he told me that he loved her dearly. And he said that when she left him, he said that he became really, really depressed. And I thought, oh, it just kind of made me kind of sad to hear the story from him when he was talking about that. And so he was he was just kind of relating crochet a little bit. I don't know if it was the crochet or he was just, I think he said that she crocheted a little bit too at the time. But he said he became really, really depressed, and he wrote the most long, beautiful letter to me through YouTube email messaging. And everybody who wrote to me through email at the beginning, all the messages were kind and gentle, and they were out of the arts community. They weren't just trying to get emails just to send junk and spam to. Well, they couldn't do that with YouTube anyway, because YouTube mail. That's the funny thing with YouTube mail. We were just communicating with each other, so it wasn't like it was a real email address. It was just an inbox. It wasn't a real email address anyway, and so nobody could spam us. Yeah, they could send us, I think we could share links, but it wasn't like a real email address that we could actually use. We couldn't use YouTube email, the YouTube messaging. It was just a messaging system. It wasn't actually anything else but messaging. And I think they briefly tried an instant messaging similar to what Yahoo had and Facebook. I think there was a brief instant messaging, and it didn't work very long. They didn't keep it because there was a guy. There's always a guy involved. And so when he got me into a private message, he was a YouTuber who actually had a whole bunch of subscribers, and I was trying to figure out how he got all his subscribers. I kind of know. Let me see if I can express what he used. He used the word pregnant in his YouTube channel. And I think that's probably, so he was one of the early adapters, and I think that's probably why he got a lot of subscribers, because he used the word pregnant. And so he made some kind of humorous content. He was from New York City. And so in hindsight now, I kind of think, okay, that's probably how he got all the subscribers, was by using the word pregnant, because pregnant was a very, very popular word. And it was kind of like the YouTube channel Subscribe was getting all these subscribers. The YouTube channel Subscribe, it still exists, and I think somebody's using it and making content on it now. But the YouTube channel Subscribe, at the beginning, it was just, that was when we could only use it, well, we had to ask them for specific links. Now they've changed it, so if you want to have 30 people or 50 people who make a YouTube channel called Subscribe, you can do that actually. So people are not limited, and you're not going to be able to brand anything anyway, because individual words, you can't own them anyway. And even though a lot of people like to think they can, they can't. And so if you pick a word and you think it's unique for a brand, well, you got another thing coming, because a lot of people are going to be able to use that brand, and they're just going to pop up and show up and, jump in on a trend, because that's what it is, a trend, So it's just kind of like the word truth. When people use the word truth, I mean, it's very popular. The president is making it popular because of his website, social. And so that's how that one is getting really, really popular. But let's get back to Subscribe. Now, this channel Subscribe, it had a whole bunch of, all it had was a whole bunch of people on it. It wasn't making any videos. And so I often thought, I asked one of the Google employees, I said, well, this is strange. How is this channel Subscribe getting all of these viewers? And it's getting all these viewers, it's getting all these subscribers, but yet absolutely nobody they're not making any videos. Like, what are they doing? It's how are they getting all these subscribers? I mean, they got the YouTube play button for over 100,000 subscribers without making a video. And I said, don't you have to make content of some sort to do all that? And so eventually YouTube came up with something what they called curating content. So there's many different roles and things that people do. So that what they started talking about is some people might just want to curate content. And so what they were talking about with curating content, that was where someone will make some playlists and they're curating content. And that's all some YouTube channels will do, is curate content. Now, unfortunately, the YouTube channels who curate content right now, they're going to get called spam, unfortunately, because that's the direction that legacy media took us, and whoever's doing all this stuff, they took us to that direction. So you can't even curate content anymore on a channel without being called a spammer. And so not everybody is a spammer. I don't believe that. Not everybody is a spammer. And you can really tell there's a huge difference between aggressive people who are spammers, and they're the ones who want to get you into Discord all the time. I mean, they're very, very aggressive. You know, so there's people who will just tell you something. They'll say, well, look where I found your video over on this page. And that's all they do. They're not asking you for anything. And the most of the people will tell you something. They'll give you a word of some sort, and they'll tell you something. They're not asking you for anything else. Absolutely nothing. They're not asking you to do anything. They're putting down words. I'm going to share another secret and a trick too that they do. So if they use the word dummy and write the word dummy, they are not calling you a dummy. The word dummy is a popular word. So if you think back to like, what was it? The Archie Bunker. Archie Bunker. He always called his son Meathead a dummy. All the time. And I believe that George Jefferson was calling I think he called people dummies as well. So a lot of the 1970s shows called people dummies. And we would use the word dummy account. And then, there was a point we had the crash test dummies too. What was that, from the 1980s into the 90s, maybe early 2000s? And so the crash test dummies, I think they've just gone away right now. I don't think we have them. They probably still use them, but they're just not, we don't see them in commercials anymore. So they used to put the crash test dummies in these commercials and put them on TV all the time. And so then we also use the word dummy accounts. In dummy account, I used it all the time, and I think other people did too. I'm sure we can research on the internet and see what dummy account means. It's going to have a meaning. But a dummy account was, kind of like what I was using it for, was just testing stuff out. And that's what one of the Google employees had told me too, that they reference things related to a dummy account. A lot of people, you call it a dummy account to try out something, see if it works before you actually put it on your channel. Or maybe you just want to go ahead and put it on your channel. It's kind of like what people called the sock account. So we had sock accounts, we had dummy accounts. They mean the same thing, but these are words that are popular. So we're not necessarily selling anything. A lot of times it's part of the word game relationship that is established to make a channel go out further. And so this bucks against the search engine optimization people who were doing good for quite a while because they were doing one topic only, and that's what they were teaching and preaching, was one topic only. Well, now that doesn't work. And I started having this revelation myself back with my other YouTube channel. And I was thinking it was one of the Google employees. Well, they didn't tell me to delete my account. There was a relationship of what had happened is that they said if something doesn't work, you have the option to delete your account and start over. So they never tell you to delete your account. What they're telling us is that we have the option and the ability to start over with a different account if we don't like it. So they are never telling people to delete their accounts. They will just express to someone that you have the ability to delete your YouTube channel if you don't like how it's performing. And one of the things that some of the YouTube employees had expressed too is that Google does have limited space and there's a lot of things they have to pay for. And so they said that they were being charged, I guess, for bandwidth or something like that. That's what it sounded like. And so today I asked Donald Trump that question, if he was going to place tariffs on his Truth Social. Because I know Google had said that they had to pay for bandwidth usage, and I was thinking that Truth Social would be in the same boat. and have to pay bandwidth. And if they have video on there, I'm thinking they're going to have to pay bandwidth and all that same stuff that Google does. And that's why I asked if he was going to place a tariff on video and usage of the website related to things that come from overseas, because if there's people from other countries that's on his website, I would sure think he'd be putting the tariff on his Truth Social. But he said no, that was a dumb question. That's what he said, pretty much, that was dumb. And it's like, and someone, lo and behold, someone before me asked AI Donald Trump if he was going to put a tariff on Discord and YouTube. And he pretty much said, I don't know what he said about that. I was thinking, I don't remember if he said yes or no. But then that had me thinking about the Truth Social, if he was going to do it on his own. So there's a lot of times he'll say he's going to do something on someone else, but he doesn't want to do it on his own platforms. You know, so he might say that he wants to sign an executive order on one thing, and then he doesn't want to on something else, you know. So it was just like TikTok. He had said that he thought he wanted TikTok banned, and then, but because he found out, someone told him that he won the election because of TikTok, now he doesn't want TikTok to go away, because he thinks that TikTok, after he asked his son Barron about how TikTok works, then he thinks that TikTok had something to do with him winning, which is very well could. I mean, I'm not even sure that he's thinking about that YouTube could have played a big role in him winning as well, related to people who are just talking about Donald Trump all the time, you know, and views coming to our channels because we're talking about Donald Trump and MAGA all the time. Does that mean we support MAGA? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. That does not, just because we talk about MAGA and the Democrats or Republicans, that does not mean that we support them. Right now, our system in the United States is broken. It's broken beyond all recognition. I can't tell you how much it's broken, but it's broken big time. Oh, look at this. Look at this. How I did this in 57 minutes. So it's kind of like the other day when I did the 1,000 stitches. I did I don't think I'm pretty positive I do not have 1,000 stitches in here right now, but this is beautiful. I did a kind of a little round Tunisian, you know, the start of, I would need a longer crochet hook if I was going to make a Tunisian knit style hat. I would most definitely need a longer crochet hook, and I could, well, yeah, I could pretty much do the same thing with this. And what I would do is actually work, I believe I would probably work double crochet when I get out about here somewhere. I'd probably do a bunch of rows of double crochet in the Tunisian stitch so that it would expand and then fit around my head. But this, of course, could probably fit on a toddler baby head, maybe, something like that. Or we can do like what I had said about making a, well, let's take this part out. Let's take this out. And this is a big, bulky butterfly. If you're making a butterfly out of this, it's a big and bulky butterfly. So if I was going to do a butterfly, I would have stopped at the halfway point where I showed you guys where it looked like a butterfly back then. But right here is a great big fat bulky butterfly right there. Do you see that? That's a great big old fat bulky butterfly. But right here though, now this will be a big flower. Great big pretty flower here. Let's wrap this up. Oh, nice. Look at that. Great big old flower here. I'm not sure what kind of flower it would be, but it would sure be a flower, that's for sure. Pretty green flower is what we got here too. Oh, the corpse flower came up the other day. I was going to draw the corpse flower. Maybe I will another time. I was going to draw the corpse flower, but I decided not. I think that kind of tied in. The corpse flower, I think, kind of tied in with Memorial Day. And now we're on the weekend after Memorial Day. I want to mention Memorial Day. And we'll have Veterans Day coming up. Veterans Day and September 11th will be coming up, and the 4th of July and fireworks. And, oh, one of the examples I gave someone too related to fireworks with copyright music. And so the guy that I want to like so much, and he makes it really difficult to like him because he keeps blocking me. Or he has his thugs block me is what he does. Now, we were talking about Katy Perry and fireworks, and so the thing is, it's like I know there's a lot of people who are not into celebrities, but I like to use them as an example. And so what I had said is that the music industry has been stacking words in their favor. They will stack words in their favor. And when I say stacking words in their favor, it's kind of like with Beyonce when she uses lemonade. She uses the word lemonade in a video. And then Katy Perry sang the song Fireworks. And I said, nobody can actually own those words. They can't copyright and they can't own those words. And so what I had told this guy in Atlanta who's in Peachtree City, I said, for example, if I use the word fireworks, Katy Perry can't own that word. She can't copyright and own that word because of the fact that then she's infringing upon someone else. And I said, it's likely that Katy Perry does not even own her own body of work, that her publishing company owns the body of work, that Katy Perry does not even own the body of work. And I said, that's just the same thing as the other celebrities. They don't own their bodies of work. Their publishing companies and distributors, whoever owns their catalog of music, owns their works. They don't own it. And so it's just kind of like some of the book authors. They get really possessive of their books too, even though they don't own the books. So when they receive money from a publishing house, they have signed over their rights and relinquish the things that they did to put their name on that book. That they have a contract for some money that they'll receive for it. Maybe they'll receive money forever, maybe they won't. But it sounds like a lot of times, even with book authors, that they don't make as much money as what people seem to think they make. That they just don't. A lot of them don't make as much money as what people think that they make. And so they're not rich and wealthy like everyone thinks that they are. And so that's what copyright is that you make something original. You own your body of work. So when you create something and you put it on YouTube, you have an instant copyright on it without filing anything with the government. You don't have to do that. It's your body of work. Your body of work is your YouTube channel. And there is some fair use that you can, there is some fair use that you can do. And that was something always in question to me, that I kind of wanted a guideline and idea. And now I have after all these years later, 19 years later, I have a really good idea of what fair use is. And, and what they talk about is in changing the works of what it is. Now the thing is like with crochet stitches, nobody can own them. Absolutely no one can own them. So it's just kind of like the alphabet. When you're writing the alphabet, nobody can own the alphabet. But if I make some artwork related to the alphabet, then that's something that I made. That still doesn't mean I own the alphabet, because I don't. So there's just certain basic template things that we can't copyright. And so I can't take the word, well, I learned this actually when I trademarked myself. And that was a good lesson, even though it was expensive. That was a decent lesson. I learned that I could not own a copyright to the word crochet. That's what they told me. And basically what it amounted to was the mark. And I think the mark was actually the wording. I didn't have, later on I did have an image that I came up with. And so that is still submitted, I believe, to this day on the Copyright Trademark Office. But after 5 years, I just let it go because I thought, this is ridiculous. Why do I want to copyright things when the people who want to support me, they're the ones sharing my content? And so if I copyright things, then that means that I might have an attorney going after the people who support me, and I don't want to do that. That's not something I want to do. And so so it's very expensive to copyright. Then you need to keep a copyright attorney on retainer. That's expensive. And so the copyright attorney, what they do, they'll contact the people who have something that you think is copyright. Now I do have some original video on YouTube that is on someone else's channel. I don't know if I can have it taken down or not. I've kind of wanted to try, but I no longer have my original videos, but I am the person who made the videos. That I know for a fact. And but right now, I don't know if I can have that stuff taken down. Now, I have heard of other people early on YouTube, they were able to have stuff taken down somehow when they had lost their YouTube channel. They were able to have stuff taken down. And so that's what I'm wondering right now, because YouTube does have my name and it should be affiliated with my original YouTube channel, which I don't know if it is or not, but that's the thing, I don't know. But it's my works that I did, but yet a Chinese website has my content, but it's on YouTube though. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I think that's it for right now. What are we at? 1 minute and 6 seconds, and I think that's where we'll end it at right now.